think you will agree, one of my favorite things in life is automating.
Yeah, that is. You know why? It's because it's efficient.
It is.
It's very efficient.
It is. So
You're like the efficiency police.
something like that. But yeah, I love automation in any form or fashion. Like once I discovered gardening and started building a vegetable garden, like one of the first things I realized, wait a minute, I don't have to stand out there and water every single day. I can buy a timer for my hose that will go off at the same time every day and water the plants every day, and I don't have to stand out there every day.
This really is brilliant because then all of a sudden the success of your plants no longer depends on if you have the time or energy or
and if
whatever.
we go on vacation and now it's
Memory.
like everything either dies or we got to hire somebody to come do it. Like Anyway, the point is that I love finding ways to automate anything in my life, and my finances, it's no different, you know?
Yeah.
And I still remember the first book where I finally got a hold of this, which is called Automatic Millionaire by David Bach. And it's a really simple book, but basically he just made a really solid argument that, you know, you can be financially successful just by automating a few simple things. And like once I got that, it's like, oh man, this is amazing. You know, because then you start seeing the fruit of automating. You start seeing, I started this thing, I made this one decision one time, and then a year later, it's still getting fruit, still bearing fruit. And then I get to see, whoa, my savings account are filled up, or my 401k is now filled up, my Roth IRA is filled up, or I've given all this extra money that I didn't think I would give, or whatever the thing might be. And I love that so much. So
yeah, and there are a lot of things that I prefer to do manually. Like, I don't know why, it's just the process of walking through things manually it works in a different way for me. It does something different in my brain, I guess. But
that's okay to be wrong.
So this is not something that I would normally like really spend a lot of time thinking about. But you have made me think about this a lot because you love it so much. But one of the benefits I see is just the thing that you don't want to do, but you want the results. Creating that automatic thing. Okay, I do not want to put money away for savings, right? It's like every time I get paid,
think about savings.
I just want to spend all my money. But if I make one good decision one time, like you said, it's like all of a sudden now I get the outcome that I actually want without having to try to remember or fight that thing of like, do I want to save for this or do I just want to spend it on...
You no longer have to think about it.
I don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, and this is the secret. This is the secret. This is such a big thing. If you... Please get this. Like, the secret of financially successful people, it's not that they have more willpower. It's just that they learn to automate the most important things. I mean... Like, do not miss this. This took me so long to figure out and understand, but... Like all the financially successful people that you look up to, it's not because they have more willpower than you. It's not because they're more special, they're smarter than you, anything like. They've figured out how to automate the most important things and make them happen so they don't have to think about it. So anyway, this is my pitch to you to automate. If you want to read more about this, it's in chapter, I think, 5 of our book where I go into a lot more of it. But one like illustration that I do share in the book that I think it's just interesting and cool. So I share the story of basically tax collection in the U.S., like specifically income taxes, and how prior to World War II, the way that you paid your income taxes in the United States was very much just like almost like it was in Bible times.
Pay a bill.
Yeah, like we're waiting on you to come bring your money to us, whatever. And during the war, they realized, wait a minute, like we're waiting around for them to come bring us money. Like, what if we could just like take that out of their paycheck? Like, and anyway, it's like one of the smartest things the U.S. government ever did. And then in like, I think it was 1943 or something like that, they literally started, I think for the first time, like withholding taxes money from people's paychecks. And instantly... Like the amount of money that they collected, like went through the roof. Like it is really smart, and it is nice for us to not have to. Well, you and I have to think about it because we have our business and whatever. But all those years, especially before I married you, like that would have been a nightmare for me if I would have had to try and come up with that money to pay taxes because I didn't have this
automated system in place.
But that's the thing, is that most people, prior
then you
to
gotta
that,
go to jail. You're just straight up in jail.
Yeah, but like we're talking about, like thinking about the things you don't want to think about. Like no one wants to think about every month, oh, I got to go give the IRS $1,000 or $2,000. Like no, like that's miserable.
Like
no one
you're
wants
also
to do that.
having to figure out how much you owe too.
Well, yeah, that's unbelievable.
A whole other thing.
We need to redo the tax code.
Whatever, but we don't have to get political. We're just stating the facts of what life is currently like.
I mean, I think both sides of the aisle agree on that we have massive problems with tax code. But anyway, like that's what's so powerful about it and why this worked so well for the U.S. government and why it works for us is because now this whole tax collection process was so much more efficient. It was automatic, and the people didn't have to think about it.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like every single month people were frustrated and angry that they had to go do their check.
Right.
Because people just tend to forget.
Yeah.
And so once it's automatic, it's coming out of our paycheck. And I remember this when I was getting a regular paycheck. It's like every once in a while I would look at it and see how much I was paying in taxes, but I didn't think about it a whole lot.
How many tens of dollars you were?
How many tens of dollars. I just didn't think about it a lot because it had become automatic for so long. It just didn't require any thought on my part. But if every single month I would have had to take those tens of dollars, walk down to the IRS and pay them, like that would have hurt. And that's what it is now for us as self-employed.
Right.
Like we need to mail a check to the IRS every quarter. And every time I write that check, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I got to send them all this money. And so anyway, all that to say, automating for the win.
For the win.
So I guess we can talk a little bit about some of the things that we automate that you probably should automate if you're not already.
Yep.
So the biggest one for us is giving. And there's mixed feelings on this. Some people actually like, dropping the money into the bucket at church or whatever. Yeah. And some people just want to automate their tithing or whatever the thing is. But I think the bigger issue that you just need to be honest with yourself and ask yourself is, am I going to be a consistent giver if this isn't automated?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know for myself, I think you probably say the same thing. Before we were automating our giving or creating, and we'll get to in a second, like a process that is as close to automated as possible, I was just not a very consistent giver. Like when it was dependent on, do I have money left at the end of the month? If so...
Speak for yourself, honey, because I was giving the first fruits of my income
always?
long before I met you. No, I really was.
Rock star.
Just because that's how I grew up.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. But that's all, like, that's so good.
But that's
that
one
was
of the only
ingrained.
things I was doing that with, so...
Yeah, but that's so good that was ingrained in how you were thinking about it.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, for me, I just was not consistent.
I mean,
but
that
this
makes
was the
total
thing that helped.
sense, yeah.
Yeah, and I hear
not
this...
for a lack of wanting to do it.
Yep.
It's just because you didn't have the system in place.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
No, I mean, I remember one of our students saying that he and his wife, every single month, they'd get to the end of the month, have all these different charities they wanted to give to, and every month it's like the money's not there. And then they started using our program, and he said after that, it's like every single month, like the money was there, and we were able to increase the amount we were giving by 5 times to these charities that they wanted to support.
I love that.
And so... Anyway, there's just something about that. I think it's so important to automate giving whenever you can.
Yeah.
If that's really something that's important to you, and you want to do that. Beyond that, one of the things that I think is super, super important is, retirement in some form or fashion. Or regardless of whether you plan on retiring, like I think we all can agree that it'll be nice to have some money in your last couple decades of life.
Right.
Like, to not have to be in a position to have to work until you're 85, 90 years old or whatever.
Right.
And so whether that's a Roth IRA or a 401k or 403b or whatever, and this is such a simple thing to automate, because your employer, if you work for somebody, probably has some way of doing this for you automatically.
Yeah.
And you want to take advantage of that,
Yeah, and if they don't, you can ask them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we're talking to some people who are on staff somewhere, and they were like, we don't have anything like that. And we're like, why don't you just start asking? And they did, and they got it.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is one of those things too that if there's a matching program at your company, definitely take advantage of that because it is free money. that was one of those things that I felt like they really had to spell out for me. Like, it's like you're getting a raise. It's just that it's going into a retirement fund.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was kind of like, really? And they're like, you have to match it. Like, they didn't really give me a choice. And I was, like 19 years old. And so I was kind of like, I have to match it. Okay, let's do that.
I'm glad they said that.
They did, because I didn't know. Remember, we go back to that point in my life, and I'm like, God, can you please just make me marry someone who's good at math? So I was just looking for whatever advice someone would give me. And so that was what they told me, and I did it.
Yeah. Good. Good for young Linda.
Good for old Bob.
Good for old Bob.
Because now you're reaping the benefits.
I guess so.
Well, we haven't repped those benefits yet.
Repped. Is it reaped?
I don't know what the right word
reaped?
is.
Is that the past tense? Reaped?
I think I was thinking wept.
I like repped. Could we coin that?
I think I was thinking wept. You know what I mean? And that's why I went that way.
We need to find that out. Is it reaped or repped?
It's got to be reaped.
I don't know, but repped would be cool. I'd like to make a t-shirt that just says repped. Can we do that?
Oh my gosh. I just made myself sound stupid. I'm not that stupid. I did homeschool a little bit though. But
okay.
I can make that joke because I was homeschooled. All right. Let's move along.
Anyway. The thing I want you to remember, if you take nothing else away from this long conversation about repped, is just this: that financially successful people do not depend on willpower. Yeah. They automate everything that they can. Yeah. Okay. So that's what you need to be looking for. What are those areas in your life that you can automate? Mm-hmm. And if you're a gardener, get a gardening timer. It works great. I love it. Yeah. All right. That is your tip for the day. And we'll see you in the next one.
We really love creating fresh content for you each week, but if you have not checked out our book, Simple Money, Rich Life, this really is our best work, and we have some free resources we want to tell you about.
So if you enjoy listening to our soothing voices, then you can download Chapter 1 of the audiobook.
And if you prefer to read, we have the first 2 chapters of the ebook version.
Or we even have a 5-week book study outline based on this book, and you can download all of this for free at SeedTime.com/sample.